manufacturers. Joining us now is the acting leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey. There you go. Thought he was going to be envisioned, but there he is. He's standing by for us, who has been vocal in calling for an inquiry into Primodos. Hello to you, Sir Ed. Thanks for joining us on the programme. So the call is for money from the government and also from the manufacturers of this drug. Good idea?
It's the right idea. We've been campaigning for this for years. I've spoken to my constituent who raised this with me a few years ago, and she is over the moon. She says this is the best news she's had for nearly 50 years. She took the Primodos drug, this hormone pregnancy test, back in the early 70s, and her daughter had birth defects which have been lifelong. And she's one of many, many women across the country who suffered. They've been ignored by the medical establishment. They've been traumatized. They've been intimidated. This is a huge victory for those women. And I want to pay particular tribute to Mari Lyons, who's led the campaign, and actually a Sky journalist, Jason Farrell. Together, we've won this campaign. It's great news for the women who've been affected and their children.
Did you have moments when you thought that you wouldn't get to this position? By the way, we are very proud of Jason here at Sky News. It has been a very long fight. Did you think there were times when this just wouldn't happen?
Oh, yeah. They had reports and reviews in the past who dismissed this. And we just talked to the women, and we talked to their adult children, and we looked at the evidence. Mari Lyons and Jason, they brought together some archives that were in Berlin about the drug company and what they knew in the 60s, and how they were ignoring their own evidence. I think this report is really important. I congratulate Baroness Cumberledge for giving hope to these women and their adult children that they've not had for decades. But I think that the people who were involved in making these decisions may need to face criminal proceedings. The negligence with knowledge was quite outrageous, and the injustices and the trauma suffered by these women is so profound. So we absolutely need compensation for the women and their adult children. But I think that there are more questions to ask. More people should be held accountable. This was a cover-up by the medical establishment. The way that Big Pharma, particularly Sharing Now Bayer, behaved has been completely unacceptable. So there's more to go, but this is a fantastic day.
Talk to me as acting Lib Dem leader now, if you would, please. What do you want to hear from Rishi Sunak today?
I want to make sure that he's being ambitious enough for our young people, for our economy, and actually for the climate. You know, this is a disaster for our economy. We're going to see unemployment rocket. We've still got challenges like the climate emergency, the climate crisis. And I'd like to see him, as Liberal Democrats, bringing together the economic crisis and the climate crisis and providing the green jobs and the green investment that we know could offer some real hope for the future. When I was Cabinet Minister for Climate Change, we massively expanded things like renewable power. We created green jobs across the country. That's exactly what we need now.
Although the government, of course, has promised, we were chatting yesterday about it, 3 billion quid for a green scheme to get people back to work and to improve our green credentials.
Okay, that's okay, but it's nowhere near ambitious enough. I've been talking about a 3-year plan of £150 billion, working with local authorities, working with small businesses, working with every region and nation of our great country. This is a crisis. It's of dramatic proportions. And I just don't think what I'm hearing from the government goes anywhere near enough to rise to the scale of this challenge. And let's remember, it's an economic challenge and it's the climate challenge. You know, the government failed to prepare for the risk of a pandemic. It was told it needed to prepare. It failed. It's cost us a huge amount. We know that the climate crisis would cost us a huge amount. So let's prepare now, and let's give young people and businesses across the country a chance to be part of the solving the next crisis. But do that now.
Quick thought on what we've been speaking to your colleagues about this morning, the fact that the government's decided that NHS workers are now going to have to pay again to park in order to go into hospitals to save our lives. Good idea?
It's an appalling idea. What a slap in the face. You know, we've been out clapping for the NHS workers and the care staff. We've celebrated them. They protected us. And the government said they were going to stand by them. I just cannot believe that the Conservative government is doing that for the NHS in England. We know in Scotland they're not doing it. We know in Wales they're not doing it. The government has got to U-turn on this. This is unacceptable to treat our NHS staff, our care staff like this. They should not be imposing these charges.